AITAH for kicking an autistic child out of my restaurant for misbehaving. My name is Gina, 55F, and I run a small, family-owned pizzeria in upstate New York with my husband. We've been in the restaurant business for over 30 years. It's a cozy little place with checkered tablecloths, hand-tossed dough, and walls covered in vintage Italian posters. The kind of spot where regulars know our names and kids get a free cookie if they clean their plates. We love it here. It's our life's work. But something has changed in the past few years. And I don't just mean the economy or the staffing crisis. We're dealing with a shift in how people behave, especially in public spaces. We've seen a dramatic increase in entitled customers, especially parents who expect the entire world to bend to their kids. Don't get me wrong, I love kids. My husband and I raised 5 ourselves. One of them is neurodivergent, so I understand how challenging parenting can be, especially when your child sees the world differently. But loving kids doesn't mean tolerating chaos. And it definitely doesn't mean turning a blind eye to behavior that makes the space unsafe or unpleasant for others. One of the only rules we're really strict about in the restaurant is no sound from personal devices. That means no speakerphone calls, no blasting YouTube videos, no TikToks at full volume. It's not some random pet peeve. It's about preserving a peaceful dining experience for everyone. We even have signs up, politely worded, asking customers to keep devices silent or use headphones. It's basic courtesy. For years, this wasn't even an issue. Before the pandemic, people seemed to intuitively understand the social contract of being in public. But now, I swear, some folks act like they're in their own living room, and if you say anything about it, suddenly you're the villain. Anyway, here, where things went sideways. A few weeks ago, a woman came in with her son, maybe 9 or 10 years old. At first, everything seemed fine. They ordered a pizza and sat near the front window, but pretty soon I noticed the boy was watching cartoons on a tablet at full volume while also scrolling through TikTok on a phone. Both devices were blaring sound. Imagine blue eye on one side, TikTok dances on the other. It was disorienting. Other diners were clearly uncomfortable. I heard a few mutters, so I walked over and very politely said, "Hi there. Just a quick reminder, we ask that guests use headphones or keep devices on silent so everyone can enjoy their meal." The mom didn't even look up from her phone. She said, "He has ADHD and autism. He needs this to stay calm." I responded gently, "I completely understand, but could he maybe use headphones? That way it won't disrupt others." She snapped, "He won't wear headphones. He doesn't like them." Okay, that's difficult, sure. But we can't just ignore everyone else in the room. I reiterated, "I'm really sorry, but the volume needs to come down or be muted." She rolled her eyes but turned the volume down slightly. I figured that was as much of a compromise as I'd get. Fast forward 10 minutes. I was back in the kitchen when I heard what sounded like pounding, like someone was hammering on wood. I walked out to the dining room to find the boy slamming his fists on the table repeatedly. Hard. His mom was just staring at her phone, not even trying to intervene. I approached her again and said, "Excuse me, could you please try to calm him down?" She didn't even look at me. "He's on the spectrum," she said flatly. "This is how he expresses himself when he's overstimulated. It's his normal behavior." By now, every single customer was staring. One older couple looked visibly upset. Another man at a nearby table muttered something about how he just wanted to eat in peace. Then things escalated. The boy got up and began running around the restaurant, knocking over a salt shaker here, a water glass there. He started kicking the legs of tables and even tried to grab a straw dispenser from the counter. One customer who had had enough shouted, "Control your kid or I will." That's when the mother stood up and launched into what sounded like a pre-rehearsed TED talk on inclusivity. She loudly proclaimed that autistic children deserve to occupy public spaces, and that asking her to leave was discriminatory and ableist. I took a breath and said, as calmly as I could, "I agree that every child has a right to be here, but they also need to behave in a way that doesn't disturb or endanger others. This isn't about autism. This is about safety and respect. If you can't get his behavior under control, I'll have to ask you to leave." She exploded, accused me of violating the AITAH, said she would report me to the local news, that she'd leave a scathing review, and that I'd never hear the end of this. At that point, my husband came out from the back, calmly packed up their food in a to-go box, placed it on the counter and said, "You need to leave, right now." She looked genuinely shocked, as if no one had ever told her no before. She huffed, grabbed the box and stormed out with her son trailing behind, kicking the door as they left. It was dead silent in the restaurant for a moment. Then, like something out of a sitcom, the older man at the table clapped slowly and said, "Thank you." Here's the thing. I empathize deeply with families raising kids with special needs. I really do. But empathy is not the same as tolerance for inappropriate behavior. We've had many autistic and ADHD kids dine here over the years with zero issues. The difference: their parents communicate, guide, and adapt. They bring headphones or fidget toys. They step outside if their child needs a moment. They don't just hand over a device, ignore them, and let chaos reign.